She opened the door to no one, and let the dead walk in dark. That's when she came to me, trembling, begging to shut the portal she'd unlocked. I knew from the moment she stepped across my threshold that something was already inside her home. Not a presence, but a shadow, one that clung to her soul like cold breath on a windowpane. Her name was Lilia. 32, recently married, just bought her first apartment with her husband Bodon. To the outside world, it looked like they had everything. Love, a new home, a future. But darkness doesn't care how perfect your life looks. Kotia, I said to my apprentice, bring her some calming tea. She's shaking like the leaves in a thunderstorm. Lilia clutched the teacup but didn't drink. I know it sounds insane, she whispered, voice cracking. But I heard someone knocking and ringing the bell several times. When I looked through the peephole, no one was there. And what did you do? I asked, though I already knew the answer. She hesitated. I opened the door. I closed my eyes and sighed. Child, you never open the door at night when there's no one in the peephole. There was no one, she insisted. Exactly, I said. That's the danger. I held out my hand. Give me your apartment keys. She looked confused but handed them over. Cheap, I muttered, feeling their energy. Too cheap. You got this apartment for next to nothing, didn't you? Lilia blinked. It was a good deal. There's no such thing. Everything has a price. And if it's not in money, it's in blood. Her fingers trembled. I reached under my table and pulled out a silver pin. Here, I said. When you return home, stick this into your doorframe, above the inside latch. If you do it quickly, you may be able to push back what you've let in. She nodded slowly. Will it stop the noises? It might. If they're still only noises. I paused. One more thing, I added. Your husband. Does he drink? No, she said quickly. He's a professional athlete. Humph, I muttered. The man who owned your apartment last wasn't. His addiction soaked into the walls. And if you're not careful, it will cling to your Bodon like oil to skin. That's not possible, she said. You must be mistaken. I didn't argue. I'd done my part. Now the rest was up to her. That night, she told Bodon everything, about the apparition, about my warning, about the pin. He laughed. You believe in that stuff, he scoffed. Come on, Lilia. You're smarter than that. I saw it, Bodon, she insisted. I saw something. Stress. Moving is exhausting. You probably just had a weird dream. And with that, he went to bed. She didn't use the pin. The next morning, they met a neighbor, a cheerful woman named Inna who introduced herself with cookies and a wide grin. I live just down the hall, she said. You must be the newlyweds. Lilia smiled. Yes, I'm Lilia, and this is Bodon. Oh, a strong name. Inna winked. Come by tonight. I'm baking my famous pie. You'll love it. That evening, Lilia opened the door expecting Inna. Instead, her teenage niece stood there, holding a duffel bag. Natalia. Lilia blinked. What are you doing here? My theater prep course starts tomorrow, the girl said. Didn't Mom tell you? I'm staying with you. No, she didn't. Then Bodon came home. Late. Reeking of beer. Lilia stared. He never drank. Ever. Rough day, he mumbled. The guys made me. Lilia made excuses, told herself it was a one-time thing. Stress. Maybe he really had a bad day. But the next day, he came home drunk again. And the next. And the next. She began to lose sleep, listening to the ticking of the hallway clock, the buzz of the fridge, the faint whispers that didn't come from any living mouth. Then, the shadow returned. She saw it again, a dark figure standing in her kitchen doorway. This time, it didn't vanish when she blinked. It reached for her. She screamed. Natalia came running. Aunt Lilia? What happened? Lilia collapsed into a chair. I saw it again. I think something's really wrong. That was the moment she remembered my pin. The one she hadn't used. The next morning, she came back. You were right, she whispered. It's getting worse. And Bodon, he's not the same man. It's like something is taking him away from me. I nodded solemnly. You invited it in, I said. Now it has its hooks in your life. You didn't listen to my warning, and now you must face the cost. But there must be something I can do, she begged. There is. But it won't be easy. And first, you must ask your walls who lived there before you. You don't just buy the walls of a home. You inherit everything they remember. When Lilia returned to me that morning, her hands were ice. She'd finally done what I told her, stuck the silver pin into her doorframe. But it was too late. The shadows had made themselves comfortable. Tell me what you saw, I said. She swallowed hard. A woman. Or something like a woman. Her face was wrong. Too pale. Her eyes, too wide. She just stood there. I couldn't breathe. That's not fear, I said. That's invasion. I handed her a cloth pouch filled with protective herbs. Take this. Hang it above your bed. But more importantly, you need to find out who lived in your apartment before you did. I tried, she said. I asked the neighbor, Ina. She said it was a young couple. Didn't stay long. Moved out after a year or two. That's not enough. I went to the housing office, Lilia added. But the manager, Raisa Leonidovna, said she couldn't show me the registry. Said it was against policy. She's hiding something. That's what I felt too. I nodded. There's always one gatekeeper in every building, someone who knows too much and says too little. Lilia sighed. I'll try again. Wait, I said. Before you go, I must ask about your husband. Has he stopped drinking? She hesitated. He hasn't gotten better, she admitted. He's worse. Distant. Unkind. He snaps at me. Last night, he didn't even come home. I could see it clearly now. Something had sunk its teeth into Bodon. And Lilia, in trying to fix it, was about to make it worse. You must be careful, I warned her. There's another woman. Her eyes widened. What? You think he's cheating? No. I don't mean a lover. I mean a presence. A living woman who will try to turn him from you. I cannot yet see her clearly. But I know she is not a stranger. A neighbor. Not quite. She frowned. My niece, Natalia, is staying with us. You don't think? No. Natalia is a good girl. Naive. But not malicious. I leaned in closer. It's not her you should fear. It's someone with charm. With sweetness. With easy smiles and careful words. Someone who wears masks. Lilia's mind immediately went to Ina, the bubbly neighbor who had practically danced into their lives. She left soon after, shaken. That day, Lilia returned to the housing office. But again, Raisa Leonidovna brushed her off. You already asked, the older woman barked. I told you, I can't give out personal information. Move along. But fate has a funny way of rewarding the persistent. As Lilia walked out, she spotted a familiar face in a gray jumpsuit. The janitor. He was sweeping cigarette butts into a pan. Excuse me, she said quietly. Do you know who used to live in apartment 49? The man looked around, then leaned on his broom. Too many people, he said. But the last ones. Yeah, I remember them. Young couple. Good folks. Until he started drinking. Drinking, she repeated. Like a demon. Screaming fits. She tried to help. Poor girl. But one day she just gave up. Took a rope and, he gestured to his neck, hung herself. In the bedroom closet. Lilia's breath caught in her throat. The janitor lowered his voice. The husband vanished after that. No one saw him again. But the unit changed hands quick. Sold by someone else. Through Reisa, of course. You know, some folks say she arranges things like that. What do you mean? He gave her a long, pitying look. I didn't say anything. Lilia walked home with her head spinning. A woman had died in her apartment. A man had vanished. And the neighbor who sold her the place might have orchestrated the whole thing. As if summoned by her thoughts, Ina was waiting outside her door. Hey, sunshine, she chirped. Rough day. Something like that, Lilia murmured. I was just thinking, Ina continued. You work too hard. You should come over. I made dumplings. We'll open a bottle of wine, laugh a little. No thanks, Lilia said. I'm exhausted. Ina pouted. Suit yourself. Then casually she added, by the way, your niece Natalia, she's sweet. But a bit too cozy with your husband, don't you think? Lilia froze. Excuse me. I'm just saying. I saw them on the balcony last night. He was reciting something. A poem, maybe. My husband. Lilia scoffed. He barely reads. You know what they say. Love inspires. Lilia forced a smile. Thanks for the gossip. Inside, her stomach churned. It was nonsense, right? Natalia wouldn't dare. Bodon wouldn't. Would he? But when she walked into the kitchen, the stench of alcohol hit her like a wall. Bodon, she called. Lilia, he slurred, swaying in the hallway. I wrote you something. Wanna hear? Natalia stood awkwardly behind him. Lilia's blood ran cold. Out, she said. Both of you. Natalia looked stunned. I'm sorry, Aunt Lilia. I didn't. Just go. The girl gathered her things and left. Bodon slumped on the couch, passed out within minutes. Lilia collapsed into a chair. Was it true? Was Natalia seducing him? Or was this exactly what Ina wanted her to believe? That night, Lilia sat in silence, her thoughts spinning, until a knock on the door startled her. It was Ina again, with a glass jar of herbs. My mother used this, she said sweetly, to help my father quit drinking. Worked like a charm. Just boil it. Make him drink a cup. Morning and night. Lilia hesitated. What choice did she have? She took the jar. That night, she made the tea. Bodon drank it without question. And the next morning, he didn't reach for a beer. For the first time in weeks, he was sober. But he was also wrong. His eyes were dull. His voice monotone. He snapped at everything. Spoke little. Smiled never. And 2 days later, he was gone. No note. No bags. Just vanished. Lilia didn't even cry. She picked up the phone. And she called me. When your home no longer feels safe, the danger isn't always in the walls. Sometimes, it's in the people you invite inside. Lilia returned to me with a face pale as candle wax and eyes ringed with sleepless nights. Her husband was gone. The apartment was silent. But the air inside it. Still sick. You were right, she said quietly. Everything's falling apart. I nodded slowly and motioned for her to sit. Kotia brought tea, stronger this time, laced with calming root and ash bark. I did what you said, Lilia continued. I found out what happened in the apartment before we moved in. A woman died there, took her own life. Her husband vanished. I stirred the tea. And who helped arrange the sale of your unit? She didn't hesitate. Reisa Leonidovna, the housing manager. Her hands are not clean, I said. But she's not the one who poisoned your home. You made a different mistake. Lilia's brow furrowed. I don't understand. The tea you gave Bodon. Where did you get it? Her mouth tightened. From Ina. She said it was herbal. that her mother used it to cure her father's drinking. I sighed. Foolish girl. Lilia's voice cracked. I just wanted to help him. He was drinking himself into oblivion. Yes. But you used the wrong kind of magic. That wasn't medicine. It was binding. A ritual disguised as kindness. You didn't give him freedom. You handed him to her. Lilia gasped. You mean, it was a love spell? Yes, I said. But not one you cast. Ina's hands did the weaving. You delivered it. She stood up so quickly, her chair scraped against the floor. She tricked me. She set this up. Ina never wanted you gone. She wanted you broken. And she almost succeeded. What do I do now? She asked, her voice rising with panic. I reached into the cabinet and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside was a tiny padlock and a rusted iron key. This is your final chance, I said. Take this to a bridge. Lock it shut while thinking of your home, your love, your husband. Then throw the key into the water on the right side of the bridge, and the lock into the left. And if I mess it up, then you will never get him back. Lilia swallowed. What happens to Ina? Justice comes on its own. You don't need to chase it. That night, Lilia stood on the edge of the old city bridge. The wind whipped through her coat. She clutched the lock tightly, whispering Bodon's name and the life they once had. She snapped it shut. Then, with a trembling hand, threw the key into the river's right side. The lock, she flung left. Done. When she turned around, she felt it immediately. The weight was lighter. Something had loosened in the air around her. The next morning, she got her first answer. Walking back home, she passed the usual corner where the janitor always smoked. He looked up and said, You heard the news? What news? Raisa Leonidovna. Caught red-handed. The whole scheme, forged papers, forced sales, illegal evictions. Police raided her office at dawn. Lilia blinked. Seriously. Seriously. Been going on for years. But someone tipped them off. Lilia said nothing. But deep inside, she knew who it had been. By the time she got back to her building, her hands were still cold, but her heart beat steadier. She unlocked her door and froze. There he was. Bodon. Sitting on the couch. Pale, exhausted, trembling, but very much alive. He looked up. Lilia. She couldn't speak. I don't know what happened, he said slowly. Everything's blank. The last few days are fog. I woke up this morning in someone else's apartment. Ina's, I think, but I don't remember going there. I don't even know why I was there. She sat down beside him, her hands still shaking. I started to panic, he said. My chest hurt. My skin burned. She tried to calm me down, but something inside me screamed to run. I left. Lilia reached for his hand. Are you okay now? He nodded. I think so. But I need to know, what did she do to me? Lilia hesitated. Nothing that matters anymore. He looked into her eyes. What matters is, do you still want me here? I never stopped, she whispered. That night, they talked for hours. Bodon cried. Lilia cried. They said things they hadn't said in years. He promised to stop drinking. She promised to stop hiding the truth. The next morning, they lit a candle in the center of the living room and burned the herbs I had given her. The smoke curled up to the ceiling like forgiveness. Later that week, Natalia returned to gather her things. I'm so sorry, she said tearfully. I didn't mean to cross any lines. Lilia hugged her. I know. You're not the enemy. You just got caught in someone else's spell. Natalia smiled. I got into school, by the way. Theater program. Then go become a star, Lilia said. And stay far away from jealous neighbors. As for Ina, she moved out a week later. No one saw her leave. Her apartment remains empty, the blinds always drawn, the windows always dark. Sometimes, Lilia swears she hears faint footsteps above her head, even though no one lives there now. But she doesn't go looking. Some doors are better left closed. Sometimes, it takes a haunting to open your eyes, and a curse to teach you what love really demands. Weeks passed. The air inside Lilia's apartment felt lighter. The cold spots had vanished. The strange thuds in the night were gone. Bodon returned to his usual self, calm, focused, and attentive. He still flinched at sudden noises, and some nights he woke in a sweat, but the worst seemed behind them. And yet, something still lingered. One morning, I opened my door to find Lilia standing there again, eyes darkened with worry, a paper bag clutched to her chest. You said to bring the pin back after 3 days. I took the small silver brooch from her. It was cold to the touch. Too cold. Have you been sleeping well? I asked. No, she admitted. Not really. And sometimes I still feel watched. I nodded. That's because the spirit never fully left. The lock worked. The pin helped. But one final task remains. What is it? Closure. I handed her a thin white candle wrapped in black thread. You must burn this in the exact place you first saw the spirit. Light it at midnight. Alone. And let it burn to the end. Do not blow it out. Do not fall asleep. Her hands trembled. Will I be safe? Yes. But it will not feel like it. That night, Lilia did exactly as instructed. She waited until Bodon was asleep, slipped quietly into the living room, and placed the candle on the floor where the ghost had first appeared. The flame flickered as if caught in an invisible breeze. Then it steadied. For a long while, nothing happened. Lilia stared at the flame, her heart pounding. And then the room grew cold. Not just chilly, glacial. The shadows around her seemed to stretch, reaching for the candle's light. She heard a breath that wasn't hers. Then, the faintest sound of sobbing, a woman sobbing. Lilia whispered, Valentina. The crying stopped. Why did you come to me? She asked. No answer. Were you warning me? A shadow rippled across the floor. The candle flickered violently. And then the silence returned. Lilia stayed up all night, watching the candle burn down to a tiny stub. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the flame went out on its own. The cold lifted. The shadows shrank back to their corners. And the apartment was still. The next morning she returned to me, exhausted but smiling. She's gone, she said simply. I nodded. She was never angry at you. Just trapped. Her pain echoed through that space. It needed acknowledgement. And peace. Lilia exhaled. I think. I finally understand. Understand what? That the danger wasn't just the spirit or the past. It was all the things I refused to see. Bodon's drinking. My fear. The lies I told myself just to keep going. I reached over and took her hand. You faced them all. That's what broke the curse. She smiled through tears. Thank you, blind Madam Grace. Don't thank me. Thank yourself. You were brave. Months passed. Bodon stopped drinking entirely. He started running again, training for a half marathon. Lilia joined a book club and took up yoga. For the first time in years, they weren't just surviving, they were living. Natalia visited often from her new dorm, full of stories about rehearsal disasters and drama school crushes. They laughed more, fought less. The apartment no longer felt haunted. It felt like home. One evening, I received a small envelope in the mail. Inside was a photo, Lilia and Bodon holding hands in front of a quiet river. A lock was clamped to the bridge behind them. On the back of the photo, a message. We made it. And beneath that, P.S. I never touch the door at night now, no matter how many times it knocks. Let this be your warning too. If ever you hear a knock or a bell in the middle of the night, and there is no one in the peephole, Do not open that door. Not everything that calls for you comes from the world of the living. And some spirits, once invited in, do not leave quietly. But there is always a way back to the light, if you're brave enough to face what's hiding in the dark.